let me start with our top story here tonight on Deep Dive. Well, we know the aviation meltdown has done a lot more than just expose cracks in the airline operations. It has opened a national conversation about fatigue, about how much we demand from people who really carry lives in their hands. Pilots now have guaranteed rest after 8 hours of duty through the FDTL guidelines now. They have to be rostered according to the rules now. Enough rest must be given before their flights. Loco pilots, you have those who are driving trains for us, also asking for similar implementation, and it seems like their voice also has been heard. If they say if aviation recognizes fatigue as a safety hazard, why is India then still running trains on decades-old rules? They've spoken out, and now you have a third party speaking up, and it seems like an important sect. A new voice that stepped in here is the Indian Medical Association. Their question goes even deeper. If tired pilots and tired train drivers endanger passengers, what about tired doctors handling surgeries, emergencies, life or death situations every hour? In a strong statement, the IMA, Indian Medical Association, says fatigue in aviation is treated as risk, but in healthcare, it's glorified as sacrifice. They call this gap as unacceptable, illogical, and unsafe. Now, this debate comes right on the back of one of the most painful moments for India's healthcare system, the rape and murder of a young doctor at RGKR Medical College. The incident in fact, didn't just reveal violence that happens inside all hospitals, but also the brutal working condition. That girl, we're only quoting this incident here to show how the girl was sleeping in hospital corridors. They have no other choice, but young doctors really stretch beyond limits. They are vulnerable, endless shifts, isolated duty rooms that they are in, and hardly any safeguards. The Supreme Court has stepped in after the outrage. It recommended a 16-hour duty cap. Now, it asked for CCTV cameras. The huge hue and cry that broke out after that RGKR case was the Supreme Court demanded, in fact ordered rather, that there be a cap on duty hours for doctors. They should have enough protection. Mainly CCTV cameras must be operating. It ordered separate rest rooms for women doctors as well. Months later, little or no ground has been changed. We hear from doctors that conditions are still hostile. The IMA says hospitals have ignored these directives. Junior doctors continue to work, pushing schedules. Staffing shortages keep stretching teams thin. Overtime has become a system there. So the Medical Association is now demanding enforceable duty hour limits across India, from interns to senior consultants, mandatory rest hours between shifts, recovery time built into rosters. They demand this, adequate staffing so that patient safety does not depend on exhausted minds and bodies. And it wants accountability. The Government of India, National Medical Commission, and every healthcare institution in the country here have been asked to act immediately on this as the country debates fatigue in the skies, fatigue on rails. Doctors now reminding India of something very important, that a tired doctor anywhere is a risk everywhere. Lives depend on their alertness. Well, let's hope these concerns are answered, and we're going to try and bring in our panelists for a little more to give us a sense of the IMA, the Indian Medical Association's demand. How far is this doable? Supreme Court orders came in nearly a year or more ago. Has it been implemented? We have joining us Professor Dr. J.A. Jayalal, General Secretary, Commonwealth Medical Association and former National President of the IMA. We also have Dr. Sanjeev Gera, Director and Head Interventional Cardiology, Fortis Hospital. Thanks very much. Dr. Jayalal, would you want to step in on this? You've been former IMA president. You could, who better to tell us a little more on what the IMA's demands are? And we are speaking today after the aviation meltdown, after loco pilots are asking for a similar rostering system. And doctors, in fact, were the first. After RGKR case, unfortunate rape and murder of that young doctor, it came to light on the kind of horrible, horrendous conditions that doctors are working in, the hours that they work through. And the Supreme Court had stepped in, but we hear still not effective on the ground. Give us the reality.
So thank you very much for raising this very important issue, which we are talking for quite a long time. It is not that the first time we are raising this issue. And every time when we are making this issue and requesting the administrators, whether it is a National Medical Commission or the government, through the PAL to the Supreme Court, every time some orders are coming, they say that is the maximum you can give the 48 hours per week and there must be adequate rest should be there. All this given, but unfortunately, the National Medical Commission has given a statement in the volume which has released on the postgraduate medical education. They say it is a reasonable working hours, and which is a term which nobody can comprehend. And what is the reasonable working hours? And there is no clear-cut mandatory division is not given by the authorities which is controlling the medical education and the medical the way the people are working. So what is the reason why we are asking for that? It's not only that it is the long working hours, and most of the time it goes as a unusual working pattern, because there's the paramedical staff or the staff which is needed for making the hospital to work in a comprehensive way. Or most of the time it is very acute shortages there. A doctor who is not only taking care of the patient, but also taking care of the records, the maintaining the clerical job, the clerical work is being done. So there is one end, there is a lack of the adequate staff which is needed for running a smooth function. And thereby the doctors are forced to take not only the clinical work, but also the extra clinical work that is making them more vulnerable. And the third component is the assault and abuse which they are facing, especially even during the time of COVID. We face that assault and abuses, and that also making us mentally tired. It is not only the physical tiredness, but also the mental tiredness, putting us in an effort that is we are much more tired and burned out. And this is the right time. The government should come with a concrete step. It is not only saying in words. There must be adequate staff should be provided, adequate security should be provided, the working atmosphere should be become a safe, and definitely that then only we will be able to see the patient safety and the quality of healthcare can be reinforced.
No,
And
after the RG Kar case, after the Supreme Court stepped in the RG Kar case, there were rules that were mandated for hospitals to follow. In your view, sir, are hospitals brazenly flouting it even today?
absolutely, it is. We have very short
And why?
memory.
Why
And,
do you feel? Why is that happening?
there is nobody like the top agency, the National Medical Commission or the Directorate of Health Service, are not taking adequate steps to monitor it and enforce it. And the health is both the private and government institutions are there. And there is infrastructure facility improvement, providing a separate resting room for the Indian doctors, providing the CCTV, providing the adequate manpower. All these are not followed up. And only in the media will talk it about that issue for 1 day and 2 days, and then it will be forgotten. And unless we sustain a comprehensive, a powerful body and strengthen a democratic body like a National Medical Commission, and continuous follow-up is being restored, and this is not possible to do that. And if you can, otherwise the Supreme Court should form a committee to do an analysis in all the medical colleges and the top level hospitals, and bring out the white paper on that. What is the facility available today? What is the roadmap? And within 1 year we will do this. Another 1 year we will be able to do that. That roadmap with raw data, the proper data, if it is coming, then only it will be possible to enforce. Otherwise, it will be only go for the lip service.
Absolutely true. This is largely lip service only is what we see, in fact. Dr. Sanjeev Ghera, what are the hours that you work? Could you give me your schedule? And I'm sure you're doing it with a lot of passion, but still, rest is important. At your seniority, level of seniority, I'm sure you have clear boundaries. But I'm not too sure about young doctors who are still vulnerable, want to grow in the profession.
So, yeah, good evening. So basically, like I'm a cardiologist, and this is actually true with every specialty. The only thing is that we are less, and the patients are more, especially for junior doctors, residents, RMOs, casualty medical officers, and those working in ward shifts. So basically, the staff is less, as Dr. Jayala just pointed to. And other thing is that because the doctors now in India, they are not actually preferring to do MBBS here, and they are actually looking for other options. So they are not coming because of low salaries, because of poor work system, because of long hours, and then less staff and not very safe conditions to work, like we just witnessed a few weeks back. And this is very well known that we are actually not safe. We can get hurt by any attendant or any hooligans. So these all are the factors which are actually driving our students from not appearing in MBBS exams and going away.
No, but
So
why
we are
why are
left
doctors being
like that.
paid so low? What's the base salary of a junior doctor? Sir, what is the base
So,
salary of a junior doctor? Why are doctors being paid so low? Why are we
yeah.
short staffed? Because, okay, pilots say that it's very difficult to train a pilot. You know, it's very difficult to train a pilot, hard to hire pilots just like that. Can't do it overnight the way one probably assumes, because it's a long, drawn course. It's an expensive course. Not very many people take up to actually learning to be a pilot. But doctors, India is the land of doctors and engineers. You have every home that has one doctor in the family. You know, so in a place
Yeah.
like ours where we treat the world, we have the best doctors globally as well of Indian origin. Indian hospitals are finding it hard to hire doctors or keep them. Why?
So yeah, let me just give you any data. So recently, most of the NEET PG and NEET UG seats were actually vacant, and people were getting so many, MBBS seats at lower ranks only. So what is the reason then? So people are not preferring to do actually MBBS now. And other important thing which I would like to highlight is that junior doctors, residents, RMOs, they are actually paid very less. The salary is around 70,000 to 1 lakh, and they are expected to work long hours without breaks, and 36 hours, 48 hours. So, and they are not able to sleep. They are just, moving around from one ward to other ward, to from casualty to that, some other area. So that is the problem, that they are getting mentally and physically fatigued. And ultimately, who is at compromise? It is the patient. And you must have heard of that. There was a cardiologist, a young cardiologist, 35 years old guy. He had a cardiac arrest on duty, while on duty. So, what is the reason? It is actually a mental fatigue, hormonal disturbance, which is being caused because of sleeplessness, and then high BP, more heart rates. So, we are actually getting mentally as well as physically affected, and ultimately both suffer, patient and ourselves.
If you
Well,
see
this
the
is
whole of
it's tragic that doctors are. Yeah. Dr. Sanjeev, a quick question to you on if we've normalized it. You know, doctors are often expected to work those extra hours, and it almost appears as if they're making the sacrifice. Their job is equivalent to God. But how important is it for them to be well rested? Give us a little, in a nutshell, in your words, articulate on how important is a doctor's judgment. It's a life and death situation, as simple as that.
Yeah, so basically, I think 8 to 10 hours maximum every day, and then intermittent breaks, some leisure breaks, or maybe weekend breaks should be in there. And there should be a system which is actually applicable in other countries. It is called a locum system. So they are allowed to go on Fridays, on weekends. And they spend their time with their families. Families are getting compromised. Then ultimately stress is there, and that is actually reflected in patient care. So intermittent breaks, weekend breaks, more salaries or more honorariums or more perks if they work extra, so they are happy, and then more staffed. That is how we are actually going to take the stress off our medical system.
Also as a IMA, former IMA president, Dr. Jailal, we're looking at the profession itself now demanding. When I say hospitals make a lot of money, it's a fact. You know, healthcare is not as affordable as one believes. In fact, I had a family health emergency myself, and I know the in and outs of the hospitals, the number of consultations that we have to do, the fees that's going to each and every layer of the hospital, be it registration fee, then consultation fee, and then you have a number of tests. That's the tests that hospitals make you do. I'm not saying, well, a lot of times I feel some of the tests are also unnecessary. It could have been avoided, but well, it's done because, and also people don't want to compromise on their loved one's safety, right? So you go ahead with it and do as they say. And then weekend hits, the worst is weekend hits and they're like, doctor is not there on Sunday, so you'll have to wait until he comes and discharges you. he'll have to sign on your discharge form. So you can't get discharged on a Saturday or a Sunday because doctors are not going to be there. While that is a case where patients are bearing the brunt of that, here I hear another story that doctors don't get a break at all. So the ones who are running hospitals are minting their money. It's not really trickling down, the benefits of which are not trickling down to neither the doctors and definitely not the patients.
Yeah, I fully agree with you.
So how has the IMA dealt with it in the past? Yeah.
The health is one profession now. Nobody is happy. Neither the doctor, the hospital, the patient, the media. Nobody is happy in the hospital now, the healthcare system. As you rightly said, the healthcare cost is mounting. It is increasing quite. But unfortunately, it is not that doctors are getting like what the Indigo raised the flight cost to 1 lakh and it has not paid to the pilot. It was only for the company. It is most of the time it goes only to the administrators. And we cannot blame the administrators also because the people expect the 5-star treatment at no cost. And they want all the comfort for the hospital. Hospitals are now become a hospitality center where there is a comfort is given and the cost is also escalating. Second, you said some of the investigations, it is not because of a doctors, but because of the consumer protection cases. If you come to us, you say with a headache, and if the doctor is not investigating, if something in 1 in 1,000%, if something happens, tomorrow you are going to file a case and the court is going to order 1 crore compensation for the doctor. In fear of that, there is a lot of investigations are being done. So the brunt of attack is not on the medical fraternity alone. It is on the structures, the social changes which are taking place. What we are now raising is, unfortunately, India, the doctors, why the time of work is increasing because we call it as a poverty amidst plenty. Every year, 150,000 undergraduate doctors are coming out, but they are not given job. They are not admitted for the position. It is an administrative failure on the government for not giving adequate employees, adequate doctors to be employed. If AIMS like institution, if there is 1,000 OP doctors, patients are coming, and they have only hardly 10 to 15 doctors have been posted. In a Western countries, it says a doctor must see a patient for 15 minutes. A consultant must spend at least 40 minutes with the patient. But here we are now about to see only 1 minute, 2 minutes to the patient because the load of patients is coming. The only way which we are requesting the government, we have enough doctors with us. You ask for thousands of doctors, we are ready to provide. Indian Medical Association is even given the list to the government saying that we have the doctors willing to work. Give us a job, an adequate job with an adequate salary, and there will be thousands of doctors are willing to come forward. I say the whole problem is only because administrative failure and the government is not willing to use enough number of doctors in that situation. That is what is leading to so much of difficulty for the doctors. And it is also another. We are also our own victims. But we say that when we were young and we work for 24 hours, we expect the same thing happen to the junior doctors also want to work for 24 hours. There is the mindset of few of the professors. But it is the society is changing. The dynamicity is changing. Today, the Gen Z generation cannot work for more than 12 hours. And their mindset, they cannot have the focus there. So now
it's not about they cannot, they just don't want to. They don't want to make the mistakes that the millennials have made, that our generation have made, and the ones before us. They're clear. They want work-life balance, whatever profession may be.
So
well, I really appreciate both of you, Dr. Sanjeev and Dr. Jailal, for joining us. Yeah, we're really hoping that this voice is heard. The IMA has put forth, this demand asking for implementation of rules, working hour cap. Let's just hope it's done with, because we want patients to be safe at the hands of well-rested doctors. That's all we ask for. Thanks very much, both of you, for joining us. All right, on that note, I'm slipping into a short break. We'll be right back in a very interesting story on an Australian woman who decides now to nearly sue her boyfriend for breaking up with her after 10 years of a relationship. She says that he took away my childbearing years. This has opened up a global debate. Stay with us.